run? Is it his agent who's telling him not to run? Is it the organization who's telling him not to run? Remember, this is an organization who paid Carson Wentz $32 million and then watched him dive between two defenders. He did that before he got paid. But still, he dove between two defenders, tears his ACL, and is never the same player. He gets hit behind the line of scrimmage and takes a hit to the head, and he's never the same player. Ultimately, his career is over in Philadelphia. Maybe it's the organization who doesn't want Jalen Hurts to run. Maybe it's Jalen himself. Maybe it's his agent. Maybe it's the coaches. Who knows? That's a big question, though, because if you take that out of his game, it's harder to evaluate him as a player.
That's where I'm going here.
Yeah.
If Jalen Hurts doesn't run the ball this coming season with effectiveness, he's not a $50 million a year guy, according to what Jeremy Fowler's article was, too.
Well, not this. To me, it's more simple. It's actually more simple.
But do you agree with that?
With what?
He's not a $50 million a year guy if all of a sudden this guy's not a running quarterback. If he doesn't run, he's not the guy. I'm not paying $50 million for his quarterback skill set.
Well, I would. I mean, there's caveats with that, obviously. But to me, it depends on what's around him. For example, if the running game gets back to form this year, then I believe Hurts will be effective through the air. That's what he's been in his career. If they have a good running game that pairs with Jalen Hurts, he has been able to make the throws in his career. That doesn't mean it's high volume. It doesn't mean A.J. Brown's going to be happy. It doesn't mean that they're going to be a top 5 passing offense. What it means is he's going to do enough when he needs to through the air to be competent enough to win games at a high level. That's what he's done in his past.
Okay.
If you take away the run game, not Jalen's run game, I'm talking about the Eagles' run game, and they're not as effective, or they look again like they did last year, and then Jalen's unwilling to run, well, now I think that can of worms has opened up. And you're right. It's not worth the money. It's probably not good enough to get the job done and compete at the highest level. And that's when I think the Jeremy Fowler report would come into play, where maybe they would look to move on from him. But to me, if the run game works this year, Jalen's has had to adapt to a lot of coordinators. If the run game works, all right, I think Jalen will be good enough over the top and throwing the ball. But that's a big caveat, because are we relying on stem cells? Are we relying on Saquon? Well, you know what I mean? There's a lot of things that are out of the quarterback's hands. And some people would probably tell you, Sills, that they don't want that to be the case. Like, they don't want their quarterback's play to hinge on all these other things. And, hey, that's fair, right? You normally want your quarterback to set the tempo, but that's not really been the Eagles' setup. And we'll see. We'll see what they do.
Okay, so now look, I'm going to throw a name out in Joe Burrow here. So Joe Burrow took a football team that had the 28th ranked offensive line to the Super Bowl. If Hurts' offensive line is not back up to top 10, you're saying that that's going to be an indictment on the entire year? If they can't get the run game going, they're not good in what they're going to do with these stretch runs, whatever. Again, because we're talking about them rebounding from a poor year of a season ago, right?
Yeah.
The whole unit, you think, played poorly.
Do you think the offensive line is going to be better or worse than last year?
I think it's going to be better, but what level? But what level better?
Well, that's the $1 million question. If we knew that, we'd be able to predict perfectly. But to me, if the offensive line's better, Jalen will be better. I don't know how much better, and maybe we'll be debating that by season's end. I mean, what if it's 32-50 and and it's
right.
You're like, it was good, but was it that good? I don't know. I mean, that's where I could ultimately see this ending up, where it's not as easy to make a decision. But to me, if the offensive line's better, Jalen would be a better player. And that's kind of how I feel about it. But what I'd like to see more of this year is if there are moments where the offensive line is struggling, or there are games where the running game can't get going, I do want to see a little bit more of Hurts taking that on him. Like, I want to see everyone. I'm not saying every week in and week out. I'm not saying every single play or every single possession or every single drive. What I'm saying is there's moments in a year, and for every football team, when somebody has to put the team on their back. There are moments, there are games, there are drives. Sometimes they're late in the game. Sometimes they're late in the season. Sometimes it's a playoff game where someone says, okay, everybody, get on my back. Let's go. We saw Saquon Barkley do it a lot in 2024. We saw Jalen Hurts do it to some extent in the NFC title game and in the Super Bowl. We saw that defense do it a boatload that year too. When those moments come this year, Jalen's got to lift the team up. Because last year, if the run game wasn't working great, the team looked like shit on offense. And the quarterback is eventually going to have to make up for some of those deficiencies. You can't expect perfection week in and week out. So I that's what I hope to see this year, is him making up for some of those deficiencies more often. But we'll see what that looks like.
Do you think the offense wore the defense down by the end of the year because of all the 3-and-outs?
Offense, yeah, for sure. Last year?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And it was more so evident in the 49er game, right?
Yeah, but I even thought the defense held their own pretty well. I mean, they obviously didn't play that good that game. They got beat up a little bit, especially early in that game. But, I mean, if you're going to sit here and tell me that I should blame – like,
Trent Williams.
I already debated John about this like earlier in the offseason. Eagles, 49ers playoff game.
Trent Williams.
The Eagles lost the game 23-19.
Trent Williams was pushing people around in that game.
Well, I'm just saying, like John was like, well, the defense was worse in that game. I'm like, okay, they were. But if you think you're going to win significant playoff games scoring 19 points – you're not. And by the way, the defense giving up 23 points, dude, that's not that bad. 23 points in the NFL? What's the average points given up in an NFL game? It's probably north of 20.
It's probably right there.
Yeah. So they gave up 23 points. It's not like they gave up 35.
I think it was the unit, though, that they gave it up to. No Ayuk, no Kittle. It was McCaffrey and Purdy that did the damage in that game. Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, to some extent, but
I mean, I didn't really think the 49er offense was that exceptional in that game either. I mean, I thought it was more.
They didn't have great players.
The 49ers defense surprised everyone, in my opinion, in that. All right, let me ask you this question.
Remember, they had the trick touchdown throw in that game.
Yep, they did. They did. Do you think the organization is balking in any way on Carter? Not like, listen, don't go extreme. Moving him, trading him. Well, they've already talked about trading him. Do you think they've walked back since the start of the 24 season? Do you think they have a different opinion and impression of this player now since the start of the 2024 season?
Different impression of which player?
Jalen Carter.
Oh, a little bit. I just don't. 24
enough to affect money.
24. It felt like after 24, it felt like he was like literally going to make $40 million, and there was going to be no question about it. He was going to be the certified best defensive tackle in all of football. It doesn't feel like that's there right now. It feels like he's a great player with a major upside and major potential, but he's going to have to do what it takes to reach that potential. And then the other thing is obviously the injury concerns, where he played as much as he did in 24. He had missed games last year, obviously, shoulder problems, couldn't work out, heel problem last year. He missed the Giants game. I think they're in wait and see mode. And I think that means, yes, by default, that their perspective of the player has changed, because they weren't in wait and see mode, dude, after 24. They were not.
This is kind of what I'm hearing, and you tell me if you buy it, that they had to tell Jalen Carter and Drew Rosenhaus this. Hey, man, Jordan Davis is just the next guy up. Because Drew Rosenhaus was a little like, so you give a 3-year contract extension to Jordan Davis, but you don't give a 3-year contract extension as of yet. They may do it post June 1.
I doubt it. Unless Carter's willing to take a deal and it's team friendly. Like, let me ask you this. It's one thing to say right now, hey, would you pay Carter 35? Probably no, right? We're probably in wait and see mode.
Yep.
But what if Carter will take 27.5, 28 million?
I'm gonna just by the law averages of more teams that would be interested in me in free agency. I wouldn't take that 28 since you gave me my 5th year. Dude, you gave me a 5th year. That's 28 anyway. So I'm getting that money. You want to pay me the same money as a 5th year option? Fuck that. No way.
Well, you can't get inside the head of the player. or the kid or the agent, but I do remember Jalen Carter.
Yeah, but I know Drew, and I know what Drew's telling him.
Drew is Drew, but I remember Jalen Carter saying, championships are better than money. Now, that doesn't mean he's not going to. That doesn't mean he's going to. I'm just saying, maybe he's like 32, 28. Just give me the deal,
That kid can say that, but you think Drew Rosenhaus was telling Jalen Phillips, hey, playoffs are better than money? He didn't even meet any teams. He just took the 30 in 4 years. I would too. Hey, I would have too.
Well, Phillips isn't that guy.
Hey, 4 years, 30, APB,
Phillips is like me. Phillips likes his cars. He spends quite a bit of cash on cars. It's like sweat. These guys, they're looking for the cash. I get it.
I mean, so you think he's not getting it then this offseason?
I'm not ready to say that yet. I do think they're in wait and see though. So yeah, probably. I'll be surprised. I'll put it this way. I'll be pretty surprised if it comes post June 1.
Okay. What move is yet to be made?